I have, let's say, to talk about the different challenges facing the Arab community or the Middle Eastern countries for not joining the ATT. Actually, the Arab world is one of the few regions that has not yet put in place any kind of legislation or legal framework to control arms. They are not in ATT, but at the same time, they don't have as well any regional regulating systems for this issue. And talking about the challenges here, I think I'll be referred for two main components. The first one is about the different Arab positions, and from other side, the different, let's say, interest from the side of position, which is known, and how they are dealing with this issue publicly, and from other side, from the analytical perspective, trying to know what kind of interest they have for not being part of the ITT. Arab countries, they are saying that nuclear disarmament is the global priority, and for them, it is the priority because their experience whenever be part of the nuclear, chemical, and biological treaties, they didn't know that, or they didn't consider that the other will do the same, mainly here Israel, when they kept to be out of that treaties. So for them, the issue of the nuclear disarmament is the priority and not to do anything about the issue of conventional weapons. They keep it as one of the issue on the table of negotiation in indirect way. So from our side, let's say, as civil society trying to advocate for the ATT, we are saying always that nuclear disarmament, it is a very important issue, but nuclear negotiation from other side should not hinder the implementation of the treaty of conventional weapons. It is another issue. Why we should connect these two, and at the same time, we have a lot of, let's say, casualties, and we have disasters coming from the conventional weapon. We have the complications coming from this kind of weapons. Another position, they are trying to say the treaty should have, let's say, to include the production and the stockpiling. We are not producing enough, let's say, weapons, and we don't have stockpilings, let's say, huge stockpiling. So it is not an issue here for the production and stockpiling of the main suppliers of arms, but it is a problem for them. So here the treaty will put a kind of constraints on them, which does not exist on the many, let's say, producers. So here we are trying to say that why not to go ahead with another treaty related to production and stockpiling. This one, it is another issue. Also here, a kind of doing just such a connection from their side. Another position talking about the ATT should guarantee the right of self-defense. But here also within the treaty by itself, as the preamble of the treaty, the introduction of the treaty, there is mentioning the United Nations Charter and the right of self-defense. It is one of the main issues, including in the United Nations Charter. Another position related to politicization of human rights and socioeconomic development standards. So also that's an issue. They consider always that the West uh, trying to politicize the issue of human rights within their countries, because most of the Arab, if not all, they are their systems is far to a great stand from real or participatory democracy. Say. So it is an issue. So just talking about the different positions, let's say, under discussion whenever talking about why the Arab far from the treaty. From other side, if we look for the interest of these countries, the first issue is that there is a security concern related to Arab countries. Many Arab countries face external threats and fear that joining the treaty will restrict their ability to purchase weapons to defend themselves. Mainly here, you have Saudi Arabia, they are relying on importing from the United States and like this. And now they have a plan until, let's say, until 2050 to reach a, let's say, a level that not less than 50% of their needs of arms will be produced by Saudi industry and not to import, trying to rely on, depend on themselves. Another issue related to military balance. Some Arab countries rely on buying weapons from certain countries to maintain a balance of power with their neighbors. They fear that joining the treaty will also weaken their ability to purchase these weapons. Here, mainly Egypt. Also here, Egypt imports of arms from the United States and some other European countries. Armed conflict. So here, the Arab region suffers from many internal armed conflicts, making it difficult to control the flow of weapons and prevent their use in human rights violations. So most of them, they are either indirectly or they are in indirect way. All of them, they are part of one or more of different conflicts within the state, from Lebanon to Syria to Iraq to Yemen to Sudan, even Libya, and more or less Algeria and Morocco. The issue of another issue also related to national sovereignty. Some Arab countries consider the ATT to be an interference, a kind of interference in their internal affairs and a threat, represent a threat to their national sovereignty. But they consider the issue of arms, it is not any issue, it is not any commodity, let's say. It is related to, in a way or another, for their national sovereignty and their freedom to have arms as much as they need. The economic side, from the economic side, some Arab countries rely on the manufacturing. Some of them, they are manufacturing and exporting weapons. So here, and they have fear that joining the treaty will harm their economy. One of them is United Arab Emirates. So also they are producing and having some arms industry. Another issue related to the issue of the implementation and how they are. Some Arab countries facing difficulty in implementing the provisions of the treaty. So dealing with the different obligations of the treaty, it's not easy for many of them due to lack of proficiency. They are not professional enough, maybe, to deal with different issues that they have to comply with, either from the practical side or from the documenting side. The last issue here related to lack of funding. Also, there is a lack of funding. Some Arab countries lack sufficient resources to effectively implement the provisions of the treaty. And let's say Lebanon, we are part, and Mauritania. So Lebanon and Mauritania, we ratified the treaty, but up till now, I don't think any of them were able to provide at least one report. Even the national report, they did not do it and send it for the secretariat. So that's in general the different challenges. Maybe here, if we are looking to maybe give some recommendation about that, I can say it is important to support efforts to increase the number of Arab countries joining the treaty by working to remove the concerns of each them. And this issue, it is the responsibility for many different stakeholders on all levels. They have to do something about that. Also, it is important to include joining the treaty and adhering to its provision as one of the conditions for military grants, providing to the countries of the region. They are importing arms from states. They are part of the treaty. So why not within the contract mentioning this issue to put it as an obligatory? Whenever you are signing or be part of the treaty, you should so we can have a deal with you. Arab countries also should make more efforts to implement the provisions of the treaty, let's say, that are enforceable by them until they join the treaty. So I just, as I mentioned this issue, international and regional civil cooperation, it is important for that. The gender issue should be integrated on all aspects of the treaty and its implementation. And here there is a need to have the language of dialogue, tolerance, and nonviolence, and all of these issues. Because now what's going on in the Arab situation on their in the Arab-Israeli conflict from one side, and the other internal conflicts, armed conflict. So the issue of militarized, let's say, and the issue of arms, the issue of weapons, it is synonym to heroism. Who is the hero? The one who have the arms and shooting and killing, and it is not like this. So we need to improve. We need to encourage, let's say, the values of tolerance and the language of dialogue, and let's say nonviolence and democracy. So it's a kind of culture that a responsibility of all stakeholders to work on. And thank you so much.